Citizens of the Republic, welcome to the greatest Star Wars show on YouTube, the Galactic Core, presented by no one. My name's Logan, joined by my co-host Mark. This is the 9th episode of the Galactic Core, a segmented show about everything Star Wars. In today's episode, we have 5 segments for you, along with a 6th for channel members only. Let me go ahead and send it over to Mark to let you know about all the segments in today's episode.
Our first segment is a brand new one, Logan's exams. Next, climbing the ranks. That will lead into the Netherworld. Then, push and pull. And finally, we will be heading down to Dexter's Diner for Diner Talk, and then the channel member exclusive, the Galactic Games.
Please leave a comment and let us know what your favorite segments are here on the Galactic Core. Please also leave a like, subscribe, and possibly think about becoming a channel member today. And now I think it's time, Mark. I'm gonna have to head down to Coruscant U.
Yup.
I've got a class today, and I've got an exam. So let's go ahead and send it to our first segment, a brand new segment, Logan's exams.
Welcome to a brand new segment, Logan's exams. In this segment, Logan will be taking a Star Wars trivia exam. This exam will consist of about 25 questions, picked out by me, of course. This exam is out of 100 points, with 110 possible points as well. And this is just the first exam. Logan has 10 exams, with a midterm in the middle and a final at the end. And we'll see how he does in this class. Now, Logan, are you kind of ready for this first exam? I've told you in advance a little bit here, so I gave you some time to study up a little bit. How you feeling?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty scared. I'm pretty nervous going into it. It is various types of questions and difficulties, so I'm interested to see what you came up with, what's gonna be in this exam. But I'm prepared, I think.
All right, well, let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and give you your exam here. Your first question here is worth 2 points, and you're gonna have to guess this character. So here he is.
That would be Callus.
That is Callus.
Okay.
Moving on to the second question here, also worth 2 points. How many engines does a Y-Wing have?
I would say 2.
2 is correct.
Okay.
Now for these next 5 questions, you're going to have to match these characters with their professions within Star Wars. And all of these 5 characters are worth 2 points. So you have 10 possible points here.
With their profession?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you've got quite the cast of characters here. This is pretty phenomenal. Okay. I feel like this is pretty simple. Biggs, Rebel Pilot, Hemlock, Chief Scientist, Embo, Bounty Hunter, Bib Fortuna, Major Domo, and Lot Dodd, Trade Federation Politician.
All of those are correct, Logan.
Let's go.
You just added 10 points to your total.
Whew.
So far, so good. Getting you into the groove here, kind of feeling out the quiz here. Seems like your studying has paid off so far.
I mean, I don't know if this is so much studying as just, I feel like this knowledge has always been with me, so
Yeah.
I feel confident right now, but I know there's definitely some harder questions here moving forward.
All right, well, let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get into the next question here. Worth 3 points. Now there's gonna be an image of a planet that pops up, and you're gonna have to guess the planet.
Okay.
So there is your planet.
Wow. That's kind of unreal. That looks like Earth.
That's what I thought too.
That is, wow. Oh my God. This is actually like, this legitimately could be quite a few. Oh my God. I so badly I want to say Endor, but it's not. Like the forest moon of Endor.
Yeah.
I think this might be Takodana. Because we see water on Takodana. There's quite a bit of water here. I'm going to say Takodana.
It is not Takodana. It's Alderaan.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, there was no shot I was getting that off the space image of the planet.
Yeah, I was like thinking about what planet to do, and I was like, oh man, these might be kind of tricky.
Dude, I feel like there's so many that could have been. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
no, there's a lot to
Well,
look alike, but
there goes the flawless run, but I could still get a 100.
you could. Now moving to your next question. Which one of these 4 characters were not in Rebels?
Mm-hmm.
Darth Vader, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, or Anakin?
Who was the second one you said?
Obi-Wan.
Who was the third one you said?
Qui-Gon.
Oh, okay. It's Qui-Gon. How many points was this one worth?
3 points.
Okay.
And it is Qui-Gon.
I knew that. I knew that one was right without you even telling me it was right.
Yeah. I thought maybe I was like, can I trip him up with the Anakin thing because it was like a training hologram kind of thing, but you did not fall for the trick. So you got yourself 3 more points. Now on to the next question here. Who was the Imperial Governor of Lothal? And this is worth 4 points.
Price.
It was Price.
Come on, man.
There you go.
You're hitting me with some Rebels questions. It's not tripping me up yet.
Yeah, I love me some Rebels. Can't help it. Moving to your next question. Also worth 4 points. Who was the leader of the Pike Syndicate during the Clone Wars?
Oh. Dear Lord. I'm not going to know it. The leader of the Pike's name? Unless it's Dooku. I'm just going to say Dooku.
It is not Dooku. It was Lom Pike.
Dude, I was not getting that.
I threw it in there because I had no idea either.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, moving on to number 12 here. Worth 4 points as well. What is the surface of Crate covered with? The planet from episode 8.
Salt?
Salt is correct.
Okay. Some of these are like it feels like you're playing a trick on me, and so I get scared.
Yeah, no, that one was definitely a bit of like a make you think for a second because it could trip you up. But now moving on to number 13 here, worth 3 points, is a true and false one. So true or false? Luke got his right hand cut off by Darth Vader.
Oh, yeah, yes, it is. It is his right hand.
It is his right hand.
Okay.
That was another one where I was like, get you thinking for a second. Moving on to number 14. This is worth 5 points, so we're getting in a bit of some big hitters here. What odds does C-3PO give Han for successfully navigating the asteroid field in episode 5?
Oh. I'm going to say like 1 in 2 million or something.
That is not correct. It is 3,720 to 1.
I'm not even going to say anything about that. All right. On to the next one.
Right to the next one here. The Imperial, and this is also worth 5 points, by the way. The Imperial probe droid was also known by another name. What was that other name?
Oh my god. This is the first one where I can't even give you a guess.
So you're
I
just
can't.
giving up here on this one?
Yeah.
Well, it's also known as a probot. I believe that's how
That's
you say
actually
it.
hilarious.
Yeah, I know that's
I'm glad I know that now, but I did not know that.
it's like such a funny name for that. All right, well, moving into number 6 here, worth 5 points as well. How long was Han frozen in carbonite for?
Oh my god. I don't know when the Empire ends. I think it's like 23 a year?
What a pull. It is a year. That was a
Okay.
great pull.
Oh my god.
What a pull.
It
That
was
was
between 1 or 2 years for me. So.
yes, exactly. And 1 year is correct.
Oh my
Get you back
god.
on get you back on track here, so. All right, well, just moving into number 17 here, worth 5 points. Who created the rule of 2?
Oh my god. Wait, is it? Did Darth Bane create it?
It is Darth Bane.
Okay.
He did create the rule of 2.
For some reason, I was thinking of Plagueis' master. What's his name?
Oh man, I forget his name because I did a Netherworld on it and I don't
Yes.
remember. It was like a really cool name he had.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. But yeah, okay, yeah, Darth Bane.
It's
Okay.
Darth
Ooh.
All right. How you feeling right now? You're back on
Okay.
board with 2 questions in a row.
Yeah.
How you
I'm
feeling?
definitely feeling better because of that. But those 5-point questions were really, they were throwing some hooks at me.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get to number 18 here. There's going to be an image of a blaster that's going to pop up, and you're going to have to name this blaster.
Okay.
There is your blaster.
Oh my god. It's literally like.
Oh, and this is worth 7 points, by the way.
7 points.
Yeah.
It's the clone blaster. Because the Stormtrooper one is an E11. DLE 30. Just 30.
It is not. The actual name for this blaster is the DC-15A.
I should have. No. I'm so mad at that. Oh my god, I'm so mad at that. Oh my god, I knew that. Oh my god. I let myself down and everyone else down with that one.
Oh man. Hopefully you can redeem yourself with this next question here. Number 19, worth 5 points. How many Rathtars did Han and Chewbacca have on their ship in episode 11? Or episode 11? Excuse me, episode 7.
Episode 7. God, it's either 2, 3, or 4. Is it 4?
It's not 4, it is 3.
Oh my god, I knew it was one of those.
Yeah, you had it on your mind, but...
God, dude, if I could escape this exam with a C, I'd be so happy. Dear Lord.
We're getting back into some fun ones here. There's going to be an image of a character that's going to be popping up, and you're going to have to guess who this character is.
How many points?
6 points.
Oh, God. Who could this be?
You're going to know him when you see him.
Oh, my God.
You're going to know him when you see him.
Oh, my God. No. What is it?
His name, I might be pronouncing this wrong, but I believe it's Hajad Estri or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. I knew as soon as you'd
Man.
see him, like, you know who he is. You just, the name, I don't know if it would have clicked or not, because it definitely didn't for me.
God. Dude, I'm bottling this so bad.
Well, this next question is worth 7 points. What was the cell number where Leia was imprisoned in episode 4?
See, now this is like, for anyone that loves the original trilogy, this is like a 1-point question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've seen so many people be asked this question and they know it instantly. I'm not. Oh my god. 92.
It's not 92.
It's like 4 numbers, right?
Yeah, it is. It's 2187. Believe it or not. Well, moving on to 22. This one was like my big question. I don't know if you'd get or not.
How many points?
This is worth 10 points. This is a big hitter right here. This is 10 points. So if you get this, I don't know. You'll be crazy if you get this. What was the name of the A-Wing pilot who crashed into the Executor?
I actually have no chance.
Do you want me to just give it to you?
Uh-huh.
His name is Orville Krynyd. I don't know how to say his last name, but
Mark, you gotta...
Drynyd.
Dear Lord, bro. What kind of professor did I get? I gotta sign up for a different class. Oh my god.
I didn't do a study guide.
Professor didn't give me a study guide.
Oh man, I'm moving on to 23 here. This is worth 8 points. What was Sabine's father's name?
Sabine?
Yeah, what was her father's name?
God, Mark, I want to fight you. I don't know.
His name was Ulrich Wren.
I want to say I've heard that, but I don't think I have.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't think I've heard that either. So, moving on to 24, it's another guess who this Star Wars character is. And it is worth 6 points.
So, oh god. Carth Onasi.
It is Carth Onasi.
Dude, I needed that one. I needed to pick me up.
Needed that one bad.
We're going into the last one, aren't we?
We are going into the last one.
Oh. All right.
So this one, worth 6 points. The last question, number 25. What lies below the Jedi Temple on Coruscant?
Is it on like some like ancient Sith burial ground? Is that what it is? Something like that?
It is. It's an ancient Sith temple. I'll give it to you because you were right on track with it. So I will give you those 6 points.
Man, okay, teacher was a little nice on that one.
Yeah.
He saw I was struggling on the rest of it. He said,
I mean, it's essentially the same thing. One. So
I knew it was something ancient Sith related.
Yeah.
God, right. I don't even know if I want to hear my grade on this one. Dude, it was just like every question you're like, this one's worth 7 points, 8 points. And I'm just continuously getting them wrong. I'm like, that's just knocking it down a letter grade.
Yeah.
One by one. I just know it's going down.
Yeah, there's a reason why those ones are worth a little more.
If I had to guess, I might have gotten at most like a 60.
You were close. You got a 50%, 50 out of 100.
So I got an F.
Yeah.
Dear Lord, guys.
I will say those 2 last questions, you getting those right really helped you, because if you didn't, you would have been in a really bad spot if you didn't get this one.
Wow. That is just... Well, guys, that was an awful performance out of me. I apologize to the audience.
I mean, the first exam in every class is usually the hardest one, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what to expect.
I mean, this one just makes me not look forward to that midterm and final. Dear God.
Oh man, those midterms and finals. You better make sure you do the study guides when I give you those for those ones.
Yeah, how about you give me some? A good start would be giving me a study guide, I swear.
I sent you an email about
Yeah, right.
it.
I was on my holopad this morning. I didn't see anything. You can shut your mouth.
You gotta check your Coruscant University email address.
Okay. Yeah. You're just ridiculous.
Well, Logan got a 50% on his first exam. Often not a great start, but let's be honest here. He can always pick it up. It's not over yet. Just because one bad grade doesn't define the rest of your semester here at Coruscant University. So we will see if Logan can get a better grade, a passing grade. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm rooting for him. I want him to pass. I don't want him to fail. I don't like to fail anybody in my class. So I'm rooting for him to pass. But with that, hopefully you guys enjoyed this brand new segment. It was a lot of fun making this exam for Logan. I look forward to making more exams for Logan. And with that, we will send you back to the boys at the desk. Geez, Logan, that professor did you dirty.
Dude, and it was only my first time in that class. I already don't really like him.
I mean, hey man, I don't really like him either. But now we got a blind ranking for you right here. Gonna be blind ranking planets this time around. So I got 5 planets for you. You have to blind rank 5 of these different planets. So how you feeling? It's a little different. I figured I'd do planets this time around.
Sometimes I feel like I can't even rank planets knowing what's coming next.
I've never seen anybody blind rank planets. I'm sure somebody has done it, but I've never seen it. So
okay, throw them at me.
All right. Well, your first one here is Naboo.
The thing is, in my mind, I always flip flop like Naboo and Coruscant at one.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine you're gonna have Coruscant in here. Because we're here on Coruscant on the show, I'm gonna show love to Coruscant. We're gonna put Naboo at number 2.
Number 2 for Naboo. All right. Your next planet is Mustafar.
3.
3. All right. Next planet, Jakku.
5.
No love for Jakku. No hesitation on that. Your 4th planet, Hoth.
Oh, I almost would have put that at 5 too. 4. Please, God, tell me it's Coruscant. I'm gonna be so mad at you. It's Geonosis, isn't it?
Unfortunately for you, Logan, this last planet is Coruscant. It
okay,
is
let's
one.
go. No, that's the perfect ranking. That's the perfect ranking.
That's exactly how I would have ranked them, for sure.
Oh my God. Shout out Coruscant, the home of the Galactic Core, for real.
I'd love it here, man. Where dreams
Shout
are
out
made
Dexter's
of.
Diner. Shout out the Jedi Council chambers everywhere for the Galactic Core to live. Shout out to Coruscant, man.
Gotta love it. Coruscant at 1, Naboo at 2, Mustafar 3, Hoth 4, Jakku 5. That's a great lineup. I'm not even gonna say good. That's a great lineup. Phenomenal.
I'm telling. I feel like that's flawless.
That is flawless. But now we get to do some tier lists here.
I'm ready.
So let's go ahead and send it over to our next segment, Climbing the Ranks.
Welcome to Climbing the Ranks. In this segment, me and Mark are going to be tier listing things within Star Wars. Our tier list consists of 5 tiers, the top being Commander, then Captain, Lieutenant, Sergeant, and the bottom tier, Cadet. This time around, we're going to be tier listing the Star Wars shows. There are 9 of them. We're going to go through, tier list them. We're going to give our thoughts, see where we want to put them, and Hopefully, it doesn't take too long. Let us know if you have any other ideas for tier lists in the comment section below. Obviously, we're doing this one. We'll probably do movies eventually, but we're gonna keep this to shows this time around. So our first show up, I feel like this is the best one to start with. Technically not the first show, but we're gonna say it's the first show.
Yeah.
Star Wars: The Clone Wars. My initial thoughts, it should probably go in Commander. I mean, this is just it. There's a reason that so many people say it's the best. It is amazing across the board. Does it slip in quality in the earlier seasons? Yes. But once you hit that fourth season and on, like, it is stellar Star Wars from there on out. And even then, in those early seasons, they're very enjoyable. They still have a lot of great arcs in them. But just the quality jump from season 4 onward is just another level. So yeah, I mean, I'd say Commander.
I mean, need I say much about this show? It's like you said, people call it the best for a reason. The quality later on it's insane. It's almost like movie quality. Like, it's just like season 7 was absolutely ridiculous. Provided such great moments, some top tier moments, some peak Star Wars moments. And I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it could be anywhere else but Commander. So
yeah, this is my favorite era of Star Wars. Seeing the story of the clones is amazing, and a lot of stuff is now in Star Wars is stemming off of that. Like, we are, the Mortis arc. We're seeing a lot of cloning stuff, because of the sequels, where we're getting a lot of cloning stuff going in. Like, the Bad Batch stems off of this, which we'll talk about later in this tier list. I mean, it's the first Star Wars show. It's the catalyst for everything. Phenomenal. We're going to go ahead and put it in Commander. So next up, we have another start, because this is the start of the Star Wars live action.
Yep.
Live action shows. The Mandalorian. Initial thoughts. The thing is, I love Star Wars so much, it's hard to not put everything so high. We've had this discussion on Climbing the Ranks before.
Yeah.
My initial thought is probably Captain. I think it is in that upper echelon of Star Wars shows. Season 1, phenomenal. It's just like, it was such a breath of fresh air when it came to Star Wars. And it hit from start to finish. Season 2, just as amazing. The end of season 2 gave us literally one of the greatest episodes in Star Wars history.
That last episode was insane.
And season 3, I still loved it. They definitely took it in a different direction from the previous seasons, and I think there's rumored to be a 4th, and I would expect it to be similar to season 3 in that aspect.
Yeah.
Does it like drop a little bit because of that? Maybe, just as a show, because it seems like it's losing direction, kind of. But I still think it's probably the most popular within casual fans, and that's for a reason, because it is just an enjoyable show. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So what do you got to say about it?
Well, man, because it does, like, season 1 and 2 to me were like, dude, those were top tier, man. That season 1 just hit different. But that season 3, like, I liked it, but it definitely did kind of bring it down for me a little bit. Because, like you said, that the direction focused more of, like, the Mandalorians as a whole, and not, like, the Mandalorian, Mando, Din Djarin, of course. and I feel like season 4 is gonna be like that too. And I don't know how I feel about it because it feels like it's more of the because obviously Dave Filoni is making his show or not show his movie. It feels like that is kind of what it's being used for now is kind of pushing movie stuff like leading into that movie.
Yeah.
Even though I think Ahsoka is supposed to be leading, but maybe not. I don't really know yet. But anyway, get back to this. That's kind of feel like where they're going with the show, and I don't know how I feel about it. I would say Commander, but with the direction that they're going, I'm not. I don't think I can put it in Commander.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the season 1 and 2 like that, dude, that was so good. But I'm absolutely cool with the captain tier.
All right, we'll go ahead and throw it in captain. I'm completely
Shout out
fine with that.
shout out to Jack Black too. That was probably my favorite moment. It's from season 3 was seeing Jack
And
Black.
he was literally just his character was himself. He was not
Yeah,
playing a
that's like
character. He was just Jack Black.
that was the best part.
Okay, so next up, we'll go ahead and go to the most recent, Ahsoka. Now we're doing this fresh off of the season ending,
Yep.
and this was another one where I felt like I wasn't, fully sure on what it was gonna bring us, and it delivered.
Oh yeah.
It delivered. It is some amazing Star Wars. A lot of people when they say they want Star Wars, they want lightsabers. They want the Force. They want stuff
Yes.
like that, which I can understand. To me, Star Wars is way more than that. So I don't care about that for me
Yeah.
to be like, oh, I want Star Wars, so I want this. I'll take anything. If it's in the Star Wars universe, it's Star Wars to me.
Hmm.
But to just, stop being on that sort of conversation, I think the show's amazing. Bringing back Ahsoka and having this whole adventure after Rebels to get Ezra back and leading into this Heir to the Empire movie with Thrawn, I think it's a great thing to have in between the originals and the sequels to kind of bridge them a lot more. And I hope in that movie we see a lot of First Order development and how that sort of gets rolling. I hope it doesn't, steer shy of that.
Yeah.
But I think Ahsoka is the perfect segue for that. I'm assuming there's going to be a season 2, and I'm looking forward to that even more. They're again pulling from Clone Wars. They're pulling from Rebels. They're pulling from things in Legends, and just bringing all these things into canon and bringing them into a live action show. The performances were great. The thing is, I have a preconceived thought in my mind of what Commander is going to look like. I would probably have to put this in Captain.
Okay. I mean,
I even I love the show.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can get down with the captain. I think because I can kind of picture what I want Commander too. And I think this is like the Mandalorian. I feel like it falls just shy of the Commander tier. It's very close, very close to hitting that Commander tier.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're gonna talk about this other show, later. I love the Rebels characters. I loved seeing them in live action. They all were cast. I thought they were cast amazingly. They all played their role pretty much to a T. I think they were interpreted almost perfectly. I mean, I would say probably perfectly, honestly.
Yeah.
Seeing Chopper again in live action was just, man, that was so cool. Baylan Skoll and Shin, some great, phenomenal new additions to the universe. Obviously, I said this when we were doing our review and watching Ahsoka. Thrawn might be more intimidating in this than in Rebels. I'm not gonna lie. just the way that he like his aura that he had on screen and the way that he was portrayed, man, he was terrifying at points.
It's just his being able to see in live action his like stoicness, where
Hmm.
he is just blank face the whole time, no expression, just the coldest dude ever. That's what gives you that for sure.
Yes, and he was just, he was back to his just tactical self. Man, it was perfect. But I mean, I think it's got to go in captain. I really do.
I'm 100% down with that. Throw it right next to Mando. Which, I mean, for Ahsoka to be right next to Mando there, with Mando having 3 seasons, a lot more development, that just shows is a testament to Ahsoka with how great it is.
Yes.
But you mentioned a little bit about Rebels. The next show, Star Wars Rebels. I also, I mean, this was the first Disney show. They canceled the Clone Wars for this show, which
Hmm.
I'll be honest, I think that is why it gets hate. It gets hate for that and the animation style. I
Yeah.
don't I don't mind either. Would I love for the Clone Wars to continue when Disney acquired Star Wars? Yeah,
Of
but
course.
Rebels is also great. So, in terms of the tier list, I'll talk about that before I talk about the show a little bit. This is going to be tough
It is. It's gonna be really tough.
because you could see what I'm thinking here. I think it probably is going to have to go in Lieutenant.
It's so
Dude,
unfortunate,
it's
man.
so good. It's
That's
so
what,
good,
dude.
but the thing is, we're just gonna keep going, and everything is gonna be in Captain. Like
That's the
that's just
problem.
like so. To preface this for everyone watching, if we put something in Lieutenant or Sergeant, it doesn't mean we don't like it. It is
Oh
literally
no,
just comparing it to the other shows.
I love
Doesn't
every
mean
single
it's
one of these
bad.
shows. I love every
Yes,
single one of them. Like,
I love every single one,
mm.
but tiering them against each other, it's probably gonna have to go in Lieutenant. Uh,
It's so tough for me to do.
yeah, but having this Clone Wars was about so many things and so many different characters, but Rebels was kind of the opposite, where it was just this family, and you get super attached to
Oh yeah,
them because of that. 4 seasons, the ending is unreal. That fourth
it's so brutal.
season, like the last, like what, 6 episodes or something, are just like
It's so brutal.
unlike anything else. So, I mean, just being seeing the Kanan and Ezra relationship is, I mean, that's a top 5 duo, like,
It
or
has to
top
be.
5 relationship within Star Wars. Just
It has to.
the bond that they have, it's next level. And having a show about like the Empire and the Rebels, I think is a good thing to have,
Yeah.
because at the time we didn't have anything in between there. We had the Clone Wars, and we didn't even have Rogue One yet when this started.
Yeah.
We didn't have Rogue One. We didn't have Solo. We had nothing in it. It was the first thing in between the prequels and the originals. So, which now we're kind of overloaded in that era,
Yeah.
but
Very much so.
uh, but there's things within that era that are about different things. I think this is just it was the perfect story. It came at the perfect time. I think it's phenomenal. So I have to say Lieutenant. I'll let you say what you gotta say, but
Oh man. The first I'll just go through the first time that I seen this show and I like seen the trailer. I was like what is this kids show? I was like, I'm not watching this. First thing I thought of. I'm not watching this. This is like a kid show. I don't like it. As soon as I started watching it, dude, I was hooked. I couldn't stop watching. I'm like,
uh,
I'd be staying up so late, and I just would look at the time, like, man, like I gotta go to bed, but like I want to watch just. I was like, just one more, just one more. I gotta finish this arc. It was. This show is just. It's so. I can't explain to you how underrated this show is. The fact that people will sit there and just be like, oh, I don't like the animation style, so I won't watch it. Is like that was my reasoning, part of my reasoning, and also because I thought it was a kid show, but which I guess it kind of is, but like it's also like
Yeah.
phenomenally told. But the fact that people don't watch it because of that is just utterly mind blowing to me. This is, in my mind, this is like top tier Star Wars. I mean, Filoni and the whole crew that they had, they were cooking when they made this show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kanan is like, in my mind, like the perfect Jedi that you could possibly be. He's the true embodiment of what a Jedi should be. The relationships you talked about, the whole family aspect was great. Obviously we got the introduction of Thrawn, a very beloved character. And just, I mean, this is top tier. Obviously, I want to put in Captain, but
Yeah.
I'll let you be the voice of reason. We can go ahead and throw in Lieutenant.
I just
Even though it
feel
pains
like
me.
I know exactly how the rest of this tier list is gonna go, and I think it just has to go in Lieutenant.
It's it's
It's
it's brutal for me because I really want to see it. I want to see it in Commander, but
yeah, it's at least in like I feel like you got to think of this tier list as literally the numbers of
oh yeah,
where they would go on like a top 10 list or a top 9 because there's 9 of them.
yeah,
You kind of got to think of it like that, and the place where Rebels would be is still very good. Like it's just
yeah. I
so.
can't let my feelings blind me.
All right, let's move on to the next one. We're gonna move on to the Book of Boba Fett. This is, I mean, to be honest, this might be the most controversial show.
Yeah.
This and Kenobi are probably the two that are like very 50-50 when it comes to opinions on it. I'll outright say it. I think it's the weakest show. But again, I don't think it's bad. I still love it.
Yeah, so do
I
I.
love seeing the story of Boba Fett. His story with the Tuskens is amazing.
Oh
Him
yeah,
having this sort of realization that he does not have to continue the life that he lives. Like, he gets out of the Sarlacc and it's a second chance. He does not have to do it again. He can do it differently.
yep.
And I love that they did that with his character. I think the characters in the show are super fun. Fennec, amazing. Love having Chris Santon. That's super cool.
Oh yeah.
Danny Trejo.
Dude,
That's just hilarious.
that's way too funny.
I would say
Who else was in that show? It was like the cybernetic
oh, you're talking about
like
Thundercat.
Thundercat. That's who it is. We had Thundercat in there
Yes,
too, which is
Thundercat is that's just a
just
funny
hilarious.
appearance.
It's just so funny, man.
That's like comparable to like Jack Black and Lizzo. Like it's just such a random appearance, but I'm cool with it.
Yeah, it's like that's cool.
But I would say the biggest downfall. I think a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people would agree with what I'm about to say, but I think a lot of people think the biggest downfall is like the direction they took Boba's character and just, stuff like that. But I think the biggest downfall is just having a 7-episode series and 2 of the episodes are taken up by Mando.
Yeah.
I understand why. Like, this show it's a spin-off from The Mandalorian, and they're all interconnected with each other. But that doesn't mean you just cut off episodes from Boba's story.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more.
It's just if you're gonna do that, I feel like you could give me more episodes then.
Exactly.
And I think they're doing Tamara Morrison a little dirty. I think this deserves a second season. I think Boba's character deserves more development and more attention before we get to the Heir to the Empire movie, because I'd imagine he's going to be included.
He should be.
He very much should be. But because of those 2 episodes in a 7 episode series, I think because of that, it just turns into the weakest show. But I still love it. At the end of it all. That's what I can say about every single one of these. Is I still love it. I still enjoy watching it. I will go and watch it right now if you told me to.
Of course.
I would have no issue with that. But I would say Sergeant.
Yeah,
in terms of comparing them to the other shows, not saying like Sergeant is bad, Cadet is the worst, like is like legitimately bad. Sergeant in this is just, it's a step below Rebels. It's a step below that tier. Doesn't mean it's bad. So I'm putting it in Sergeant. To me, what are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I like Sergeant. I think it's definitely below Rebels, of course, but it's still a great show. I don't like the direction that they went with. Well, okay, when I mean direction, I mean not Boba Fett's character. I loved his character arc. They just needed to focus on him more, like you said.
Yeah.
And basically everything I wanted to say, you said. But I do have a message for Disney. Please put Tamara Morrison in more Star Wars. I'm sick and tired of not seeing him in more Star Wars. He could be Captain Rex, Boba Fett. He could be a bunch of different characters. Please put him in more Star Wars. He wants to be in more Star Wars. Put him in more Star Wars.
We deserve
a Book of Boba Fett season 2.
Yes, 100%.
Where it's strictly focused on Boba and his whole crew that he's got now.
Yes, give Boba the light,
please.
So we'll go ahead. We'll throw it in Sergeant. I think the tier list is looking great so far. We got 4 more shows left.
It's a solid list.
But now we're moving on to the big dog, Mark. We're moving on to Andor.
The best show.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and say it now. It's going in Commander.
Yes.
It's the best show. It is. This came out of nowhere. When it was announced, when we knew it was coming out, it's not that I didn't have interest in it, because I have interest in anything Star Wars. But it was not something that I was like, oh, I really want to see that. Like when AHSOKA was announced, I was like, oh, I really want to see that. Like, what happens with AHSOKA? When even Book of Boba Fett, I'm like, oh, I want to see how Boba Fett lived and like what's going on with him. Like, I wanted to see that. When Andor was announced, I was like, I don't really know, because I felt like Rogue One, you don't always need an explanation for why a character does something. Like, Andor was just another rebel, another person in the rebellion to me. So I didn't feel like I needed this whole explanation or this whole show. And it blew me away. Tony Gilroy had the pen on fire writing this thing.
Yes.
Every episode hits this easily has like the best episodes in any Disney Star Wars show, I feel like. Or it definitely has the strongest full season in any show.
Yes.
12 episodes too, which is not, you're not pulling, like, you're not doing 7 episodes, you're not doing 6, you're not doing 8. This is 12. Lot to fill in, and they hit on every single one. Seeing the Empire actually intimidating, but also seeing that they're incompetent, seeing the inner workings of that, seeing the start of this rebellion, seeing how Mon Mothma is, like, the sacrifices she's going through to be able to fund the rebellion, to be able to have the rebellion exist, and what seeing like Cassian's motivation for it. The whole prison arc brought a whole different level of like how evil the Empire is, which we already knew they were. They're literally blowing up planets in the first movie that we see.
Yeah.
But this is, you see it in a much more grounded light, and it is, it's unreal. The quality is amazing. The fact that we're getting a second season, and it is going to end with a second season. Like, there is an ending point. I think the biggest thing about this show is they went in knowing exactly what they're going to do, knowing exactly where it's going to end. They're not just like making it along the way and just going until they reach a point where they feel like it's going to end. They know where it's going to start, where it's going to end, what they're going to do in between, off rip. I think it just has that advantage over the other shows. So I think, Commander's obviously where it's going to go. What do you got to say?
I mean, just kind of piggyback on what you said. Shows that have a start and have an end all planned out before the show is even written, and essentially planned out. Like, if they have a plan for what they're going to do, those are the best shows. Those are the shows that do the best because they actually have direction. I feel like with Mando, for example, there's not a singular direction. They're kind of seeing where they want to go with it.
Yeah.
Andor has a specific direction. I mean, the prison arc, dude, that was insane to see that. I mean, just the quality of it is phenomenal. It looks amazing. Like you said, Tony Gilroy absolutely cooking it up on the script, and there's just so many quotes in this show.
Yes,
and
like the dialogue is far and above any Star Wars ever.
Exactly. And then like seeing characters, Mon Mothma, for example, seeing her struggles, a character that you didn't think that you needed to see the struggles of, like, background, because you didn't have a whole lot of background on screen with Mon Mothma, but you see the struggles you go through and like her character development, and you realize like, wow, like where was this the whole time? Like, this is great. And like Cassian, his backstory, you didn't think he needed it, but you see in it, and it's great. Like, characters that you don't think need a background, but then get the background and get the past and the story and their life. It's just turned out to be a phenomenal show. The best, in my opinion. Obviously, I think nothing tops this. So
yeah,
go ahead and just throw that into Commander.
I think it's going to make Rogue One so much better too, because I feel like Rogue One is the person you get attached to the most is Jyn, because it's a lot of Jyn's story. Now seeing the story of Cassian, you're going to be a lot more attached to Cassian in Rogue One, and it's going to hit even harder. So, and
and his character, when you first see him, makes sense the way that he is after watching this.
Yep, exactly. So we'll go ahead and throw that in Commander, like we said. We'll move on to the next show. This one, this is, other than Ahsoka, the most recent one we watched. Tales of the Jedi. This one, it wasn't under the radar for us. It was just something that we didn't watch initially because we just didn't have the time, forgot about it, and just, we came around to it. We got to it when we got to it.
Yeah, life got in the way a little bit, but
I'll say outright, see, the thing is with this one is probably the toughest to rank to me, because it is like a short series. It is, that's what it's meant to be. It's not meant to be a full-blown show. It is these episodes that are like, they're very short stories. They're tales.
That's essentially what they are.
I think it's a great thing to have, because there's so much flexibility to it. You could do so many different seasons of Tales of the Jedi about different Jedi, that the possibilities are endless. So I think this is going to be like a staple for Star Wars for a long time. But specifically this first season was amazing. Being able to see Count Dooku, you get so much more built onto Count Dooku within this. And even with Ahsoka, you see a lot more. Which who knew you could get more character building with Ahsoka, but you can.
Here
Uh,
we are.
so I think that's great, but I do think the highlight of this is Dooku because we don't see him as a Jedi.
Yeah.
So this being that first glimpse, there is the Dooku Jedi Lost book, which I know is very similar to what we see in Tales of the Jedi as well. So, but that's the only other content we have of him being a Jedi. So I think Tales of the Jedi it does what it needs to do. It's amazing at what it does. It's the thing is, I don't think it should go in Sergeant, but Rebels is definitely better than it. You know.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely think Rebels is better than Tales
So
of the
it's like,
Jedi.
should we just throw it in Sergeant?
We can be because I was gonna think Sergeant because I just can't throw it in the tier with Rebels.
Yeah,
We could just say like it's like upper echelon of Sergeant because it's like
yeah,
because it's not bad at all. Like it's good. Like you
yeah.
said, it's
Still,
good at
it's
what it
amazing.
does.
It's amazing for like it
Yeah.
does what it needs to do, but because
It
it's like the type of series it is.
exactly. That's exactly the thing is it's the just the type it is or the way that the series is I just can't put it in with Rebels having 4 seasons and having so much development between the characters like I
Yeah,
just can't put it up there in Lieutenant, I think. Even though it's great, I do enjoy it a lot. I think it's got to go in Sergeant.
yeah. So we'll go ahead throw it in Sergeant. It's unfortunate. I don't want to put anything this low, but it's
Oh
just
no, not at all.
in the terms of the tier list, it's how we have to do it.
Yes.
So now we'll move on to our next one, Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Kenobi show. This one was heavily anticipated. Only 6 episodes. Um, this one is like, I don't even want to say 50-50 for me. I think it's great, but it's like, I feel like the quality and the budget that Ahsoka got should have also been for this show. I feel like it obviously was not funded as well as Ahsoka was.
Yeah, which
For
is kind
some
of weird.
reason.
Yeah, which is weird to me because Obi-Wan Kenobi is like it's like one of the biggest names in Star Wars, Kenobi,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So it's a little weird, but
Um and a lot of people don't like, the direction of the story. It's I feel like I would have been 100% okay with this story if we knew we were getting a second season, because I think they should explore a lot of stuff with Qui-Gon and with learning to be a Force Ghost, because what comes of that is you're seeing a lot of these flashbacks. You would see a lot of flashbacks, which I don't know if people are tired of them at this point. I'm not, but like that's just, yeah. You're seeing like the original final arc of the Clone Wars with Yoda. You're seeing like Luke going into the cave on Dagobah. Like that's what you would be seeing with Obi-Wan, I would think. So I but because it's only one season, it seems like it's not going to get another one. Uh, I don't know. I would say Lieutenant. It's
I
just not on par with Mando and Ahsoka, in my opinion.
yeah, no, I was
It
gonna agree with
brings
that.
phenomenal moments, but it's just
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. Like I was gonna throw in Lieutenant, even though like out of all these, like personally, not based on like any like because obviously I think Andor's the best show, but like emotionally, like this is my favorite show just because I'm so attached to these characters. Obviously, like
yeah,
seeing that moment between Obi-Wan and Anakin at the end of the series with or Darth Vader, Anakin, with his like mask tore open a little bit, and you didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did with his Anakin's voice and then the Vader voice cutting in and out, and that is, oh, man, that's such a top tier moment for me in Star Wars. One of my favorite moments, just because you can just see like the pain and you can just see all of the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Like Hayden does. I can't give him enough credit. I'm the biggest fanboy of him. He does such a great job at what he does in Star Wars for the character Anakin and Darth Vader. I just love it. But I got to take my emotions, how I feel about it, out of it, and look at it as a whole on this tier list. I think Lieutenant's a good spot for it.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, because you brought up how that is like one of your favorite moments ever in Star Wars. It also has one of my favorite moments ever with Qui-Gon becoming
Oh
a Force
yes,
Ghost. Like
how could I
that is,
forget? Oh man,
I I cried like a baby, and it was like out of nowhere because it was just such a surreal feeling because I never thought we would be able to see Qui-Gon as a Force Ghost. But they did it, and I could not be happier. I don't care that it breaks canon who cares. That was an
oh
amazing moment. It was I couldn't be happier at that.
hey,
But
we could always change the canon, and he
yeah,
trained while he trained. He figured it out how to give himself this full form. Like,
yeah,
come
he
on,
figured it out.
he
He's
figured.
the
I
only
mean,
one that
it's
knows.
it's Qui-Gon. It's Liam Neeson. He's gonna figure it out. Come on, come on.
Who's gonna say he can't figure it out? Come on, man.
Yes.
So we'll go ahead and throw Kenobi into Lieutenant. In terms of the tier list, like you said, I think that's a great spot for what we've got going on.
Yep.
And then the final show on our tier list, we don't have Resistance in this just because we haven't watched Resistance.
I'm not watching that.
But the last show here is The Bad Batch. Now, I think I already know where this is going to go, but dude, you say Rebels is the most underrated show, which I agree that it is extremely underrated. I think Bad Batch is the most underrated. This is like Bad Batch is. I never expected to be as attached as I am to this show and these characters, but man, is it something else. It is unreal. You get an even somehow you like throughout the Clone Wars you get this perspective of the clones. Now you're getting a completely different perspective from different clones that is just a whole nother story, and it's unreal. I think the highs are super high. I think it has the fun of Clone Wars, and the first 2 seasons and we know that there's an end to this. There's only 3 seasons. They know where they want to end it. I'm very scared for the ending, I'll tell you that.
I'm terrified.
And the first 2 seasons are better than what the Clone Wars started out as.
100%.
And which is understandable because they're so far along. Like they continue to get better as they do these things. So I think it's phenomenal. I can't wait for the 3rd season, but this is easily, in my opinion, the most underrated show. The thing is though, on this list, I think we've had this discussion before about like, what would your top 5 Star Wars shows be? Well, we have our 4 in the top 2 tiers. Then we have 3 in Lieutenant because I would say I'd put Bad Batch in Lieutenant. And you could choose any of those as your 5th. Bad Batch would be my 5th. But you get what I mean here. I think it should go in Lieutenant. I think it can live within those 3 shows. Just because those top 4 I think are just a tier above the rest,
I feel
something
that.
else about them.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. I was thinking either Captain or Lieutenant. Maybe after this 3rd season, I think it might be the best season out of all of them, just because
Yeah.
of the way that it ended and the way that we're gonna go with it. It could definitely slip into captain, but obviously this is right now, not talking about the future. I think lieutenant. I can get down with lieutenant because it
I would
does.
love to put it in captain,
Yeah, I know.
but I think with the third season is when it would move up.
Yeah, yeah. So for now, right now where we're at, I think lieutenant's a good spot. Because I will say, like the start of the show was really good, seeing Order 66 happen, and then they're just standing there like what's going
What's
on?
going on?
Yeah, they're like, why are you guys like going crazy? And then and then they look and they're like, or Tech brings it up about the Order 66,
Mm-hmm.
and he like reads it off to him, and they're just like, huh, that's weird. Like, because it's just like their inhibitor chips just didn't work at first, which is just hilarious. But seeing Wrecker, because his inhibitor chip it did kick in eventually, like when they were getting him out with the help of Rex.
Yeah.
And he was terrifying in that moment. He was extremely terrifying. But this is my second like most underrated show.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think Rebels is the most underrated, but this is so slept on. It's insane. More people need to be watching this.
And we always talk about how tragic Star Wars is.
Oh, dude,
There's
it's
almost never any happy endings. This might be the most tragic show. It has never ended on something happy.
you, yeah, you talked about the high of the highs. Well, man, this had some low lows.
Okay, now, when I said high highs, I meant like good parts.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like good moments because there are good moments, but man,
Yeah, no, I don't mean like sad moments.
this oof. Tech, R.I.P. We miss you.
Camino gets destroyed,
Camino,
or not
R.I.P.
Camino, but
Well,
Tapoka
the
City.
Poker City, we miss you. I mean, I don't know if I need to really say anything more about it. It's
Yeah,
just go watch it for yourself, and you'll understand
shows a
why.
lot of the evil of the Empire again
That
that we
too,
talked about with Andor.
yes, which is a great
So
aspect. But
yeah,
I
we'll
Lieutenant, I think I'm set on Lieutenant. I think that's a good spot.
we'll throw it in Lieutenant. Maybe eventually down the line we'll do another one. We'll do an updated version, and
Yep.
we'll see where it lands there. I really do think it's already probably my fifth in my top 5, but it is going to be like solidified there after the third season. I'm thinking it's just God, I'm so scared for how that's going to end. But
Please, everybody live.
yes, please, please, everyone live.
We don't need to lose another one.
Yeah, but there is our Star Wars TV show tier list. To go over it real quick, we have Clone Wars and Andor in the top Commander tier. Makes sense. Those are just they're far and away the best to me.
Easily.
In Captain, we've got Mando and Ahsoka. Lieutenant, we've got Rebels, Kenobi, and Bad Batch. And Sergeant, we have Book of Boba and Tales of the Jedi. Obviously, we don't think any of these are bad. We love them all. But comparing them against each other, that's how this turns out. So, thank you guys for watching this Climbing the Ranks. If you have any suggestions for tier lists in the future, please leave them in the comments below. And with that, we'll go ahead and send you back to the boys in the studio. It was a great time being able to rank all those Star Wars shows for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it just as much as us. But now, before we get into our next segment, we have a special interview for you guys with a special guest. Round of applause, everyone. Jar Jar Binks is here today. A round of applause for Jar Jar. So, Jar Jar, it's great to have you on the show, man. How you doing today?
Misa doing fantastic.
Oh, that's great. I guess to start off the interview, I actually heard the other day you had to fill in for Senator Amidala. How did that end up going?
Misa gave emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor.
You what?
Misa thought that's what the senator would want.
Someone turn on the TV back there.
The Republic will be reorganized into the first Galactic Empire.
Lisa should continue the interview.
Jar Jar, I think you should leave.
Logan, what happened while I was in the restroom?
I don't even know.
Well, I guess we can send it down the hall to Mark for our next segment, the Netherworld. Welcome to the Netherworld. In this segment, we will be taking a deep dive into characters in Star Wars. This week's character, Sifo Dyas. Character that I was really interested to get into, learn a little bit more about his origins. Let's go ahead and get right in the origins of Sifo Dyas. Sifo Dyas was a human male Jedi Master who commissioned the Kaminoans' creation of the Grand Army of the Republic. Sifo Dyas was the son of a fisherman from Minashi in the Cassandran worlds. He was eventually discovered by the Jedi Order by Jedi Master Cherif Myota and got placed under Hawkbat clan under the direction of Terra Sinube. He then became very close friends with a familiar face, Count Dooku. At some point, Sifo Dyas discovered the journal of Clias Terradine, which revealed the existence of the Bogan collection in the Jedi archives. With this secret, he convinced Dooku to help him break in and learn more about this secret. While Sifo Dyas was distracted looking through the scrolls, Dooku was drawn to a large piece of metal that he connected with through the Force. Dooku grew closer to it, but he heard the sound of a beast. Now this frightened Dooku, and he summoned a Force wave which destroyed many items in the archives and threw Sifo Dyas through a glass cabinet. Now the noise drew the attention of Chief Librarian Rastelli Quist, who caught the apprentices and took them straight to the infirmary. Masters Yoda and Braylon each expressed disappointment in the apprentices for violating their trust. Upon completing the initiate trials, Sifo Dyas participated in the Padawan tournament where younglings would compete against each other in combat. Sifo Dyas came up against Dooku, who defeated him blindfolded and with one arm behind his back, showing just how powerful Dooku was. Now Dooku didn't demand his surrender and allowed Sifo Dyas to duel to a stalemate. Following this, Sifo Dyas was taken as a Padawan learner by Master Kostana, much to Dooku's disappointment as he had hoped that he would be chosen. Under Master Kostana, his mind was open to the current of the cosmic force, which granted him very vivid force visions of the future. His power was kept as a secret because his master was scared that the council would see his power as being potentially dangerous. Now, over the years, Sifo Dyas and his master dedicated their life to locating dark side artifacts, and also kind of expanding on the Bogan collection as well. At some point following their mission to Asusto, Sifo Dyas was knighted. Now, Sifo Dyas stayed close with his master throughout the years and kind of grew further apart from his good friend Dooku. Later in his life, Sifo Dyas became a Jedi Master, and in 39 BBY, he became a leading member of the Jedi High Council. Prior to the invasion of Naboo, tensions arose between Sifo Dyas and his fellow council members. Foreseeing an upcoming attack, he started advocating for the creation of an army for the Republic. The rest of the council deemed his actions too extreme and removed him from the council but he found a way to eventually carry out his idea without their consent. In 33 BBY, Sifo Dyas contacted the Kaminoans, who were known for their clone hatcheries. He secretly wanted them to create a clone army for the Republic and commissioned Prime Minister Lama Su to create that clone force. Sometime later, Dooku, under the apprenticeship of Darth Sidious, betrayed Sifo Dyas and paid the Pike Syndicate to destroy his shuttle with him in it. And as we know, Sifo Dyas did not survive. Now, it had been mentioned that Dooku had been told that Sifo Dyas was creating this clone army for the Republic, so that's kind of how the two Sith got word. But the two Sith used the clone army that Sifo Dyas had commissioned to later destroy the Jedi. Dooku took Sifo Dyas' body to Felucia and had it cremated according to Felucian customs, thus leaving the council members unaware of his whereabouts and his fate. Sifo Dyas was a powerful Jedi with the great power of foresight, which some had seen as potentially dangerous since he got visions of the future. He started the creation of a clone army which would lead to the downfall of the Jedi, which obviously he had never intended for, but was betrayed by his close friend, Count Dooku. Sifo Dyas is a super interesting character in which we really don't know a whole lot about. We have a pretty good background on his character, and some important life events, but we don't know everything detail for detail, so hoping to kind of expand on that in the future. That's it for the Netherworld in this segment. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this character breakdown. Hopefully we'll see you back soon as well. And with that, I'll go ahead and send you back to the boys in the studio.
That was another phenomenal character breakdown out of Mark. He's so good at those character breakdowns, and he's really handsome as well. But before we get into our next segment, it is time to honor all of our channel members. Now presenting the Hologram of Fame. Logan, what are you doing, bro?
Shh, Mark, there's a wild channel membership over there.
Logan, why do you need a wild channel membership? You know you can just purchase one for $4.99, right?
Well, yeah, I just want to catch my own. I'm in it for the bonus segment that you get every single time an episode of the Galactic Core comes out.
Well, dude, you'll also get behind the scenes and outtakes.
Yeah, you even get a special role and chats on the Discord server.
I even heard you get recognized on the Hologram of Fame.
Yeah, I'm also in it for the increased odds for your hot takes and questions to be chosen.
Well, as you can see, we are on a hunt for a wild channel membership. Let's just go ahead and send it over to our next segment, Push and Pull.
Welcome to Push and Pull. In this segment, me and Mark are going to be going over multiple categories within Star Wars. We're going to be going back and forth trying to name things within those categories. It is first to 4 points. You lose a point by either taking too long, being incorrect, or repeating an answer. That's the best explanation I got of the game. You'll understand it more as we go into it. So, Mark, I'm going to start us off with the first category, Imperial Officers.
Oh, man.
How you feeling?
I don't know how I'm feeling about this one, man.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and start us off with Admiral Piet.
General Veers.
Colonel Stark.
Grand Moff Tarkin.
Moff Gideon.
Thrawn.
Admiral Yularen.
Oh man, what?
Let's
Ooh,
go.
What's that dude's name from Bad Batch?
Oh, Rampart.
Rampart. That's it. I couldn't think of that. That's who I had in my head, and I pictured him.
Mhm.
And I did not. I knew it started with an R. I wasn't sure.
I had another one in the back pocket. I had Dedra Miro from Andor. I had her in the
that's a
back
good
pocket.
one. That's
I
a
was
good
holding
one.
on to it.
That was a good one. That's a good one.
Okay,
All
you're up
right.
next with the next category.
Let's just go ahead and get in the next category. Here we got video games. One of my
You're gonna-
favorite things
You're
about
gonna beat
Star
me on
Wars.
this one, man. You're gonna beat me
You
on
think?
this one.
I
I think
enjoy
so.
these video games, so I'm just gonna start us out here. Battlefront 1 from 2004.
Battlefront 2 from 2005.
Battlefront 1 from I believe 2015.
And Battlefront 2 2017.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Squadrons.
Fallen Order.
Survivor.
Jedi Outcast.
Jedi Knight Academy? Is that one?
That is Jedi Academy. Yep. Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed 2.
Skywalker Saga.
Galaxy of Heroes.
Oh, that's a good one. Complete Saga.
Lego Star Wars the video game.
The Old Republic.
Lego Star Wars 2.
Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Lego Star Wars 3 The Clone Wars.
No, what's that?
You're still
It was from the Clone Wars. What was the name of that video game?
Oh,
it was a really bad version.
like Battle Heroes or something. I know exactly which one you're talking
Republic Heroes.
about. Republic Heroes.
You said Battle. It's Republic Heroes. That's the one I was thinking of. I also could have named Bounty Hunter, that Jango Fett one. But
Oh yeah, we didn't say Republic Commando, did we?
I don't know. Dude, I got so lost when we were just naming.
I don't
them.
think we said Republic Commando. We didn't say Empire at War. We didn't say.
We named so many of them.
We named so many, and there were still so many. I still. If you had another one, I was gonna say Lego Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
No, I forgot about. That's the forgotten one.
Dude, you only took the complete saga, and I just ran through the rest of Lego games.
You did.
Oh
man.
no, wait, no, you had Skywalker Saga too, I think.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. That's what started it.
That was great. I didn't expect that point, but it also that went for a very long time. That was a marathon.
Yeah, that was crazy.
All right, on to the next category. I'm up 2-0. I'm feeling good.
Oh, man, I was really hoping to get that video game point.
Yeah, that if you were gonna get one for sure, that was the one to get.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on to the next category, female Jedi. I'll start us off with Luminara Unduli.
Ayla Secura.
Barasafi.
Ahsoka Tano.
Shakti.
Technically Leia.
Oh, Rey.
Technically Sabine. Maybe?
I knew you were gonna do that. Jocasta Nu.
I ran out. I just started pulling like Sabine and like. That's when you knew I was in front.
I thought after I said Jocasta Nu, I thought you were gonna say Yaddle. That was the other one.
I
that
should
I
have
had in
said
my
Yaddle.
Oh god. This is, dude, push and pull is always the most hilarious segment.
Technically Leia, technically Sabine.
Dude, after you said Leia, I knew Sabine was gonna be the next one that you said.
Technically, this is true, but
Yeah.
all right.
Okay.
Time for our next category here. Rebels characters.
This is gonna be another
specifically
one
from the TV series.
Yeah.
this- I might have a chance here. We'll see. I don't, obviously my remembering names isn't my strong suit, but I do like Rebels a lot. So
Yeah, and we're not necessarily doing like Rebels original characters. It could just be any that appear in Rebels.
yeah. So I'll
And
just
you have the advantage here. I'm just gonna let you know.
all right.
Don't
Let's
choke.
hope so.
This is
Let's
for the
hope so.
win for me, by the way. Don't choke.
Oh, gee. Okay, let's. Who I got locked in? All right, let's go. Start off I fear. Ahsoka Tano.
Ezra,
Sabine.
Kanan,
Thrawn.
Hera,
Zeb.
Chopper,
Obi-Wan.
Maul,
Yoda.
Palpatine,
Rex.
Ryder,
Saw Gerrera.
Wolf,
Bo-Katan.
Gregor,
The Bendu.
Oh, what was the one I just had in my head, dude?
Oh, let's go.
Price.
I won one.
Man,
I won one.
Price wasn't even the one that was in my head. Dude.
Are you thinking of the dude with like the chops? Is that who you were thinking of?
No, that's Callus. I was not thinking of
Callus, you weren't
Callus.
thinking of Callus?
No, it was literally one that was just not even. Oh,
okay.
I was gonna say Hondo. I don't know why I forgot it.
Honda, yeah.
I forgot it literally within your next answer, and then when it came back to me, I had forgotten it. Oh my
man,
god!
let's go. I got my. At this point, it's basically I get 1 point and that's it. So
That is the
usually-
tradition. I think
This
that
is
has
the
happened in every single game. Let's see if you can break the curse here, though.
Oh man.
Because next up, we've got Clone Wars era ships.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to win
So-
this one.
This can be either or, Republic, Separatist, just Clone Wars era. I will start us off with the ARC 170.
I'll go ahead and say the Venator.
The Y-Wing.
The Malevolence.
The V-Wing.
The Umbaran Starfighter.
Oh, that's a good one. Vulture Droid.
Geonosian, the Starfighter, the fighters that they use. I don't know
That's
what
a
they're
good
called.
one. Hyena Bomber.
I don't know like what like the Jedi Starfighter. I don't know what it's called.
I'll give you that just as a
I'm
general.
not sure what it's called.
Droid Tri-Fighter.
Oh man, that's a good one. I kind of ran out.
Dude, I
That's
was
about-
hoping you didn't pull another one because I ran out too.
Because I already used like the Jedi. I didn't want to use like Padme ship because that doesn't
Yeah.
count. I don't know what the exact like name of that ship is, but
Hmm.
um.
I don't even know if I can consider it an accomplishment at this point that I just keep winning every single one of these. It's just like, I don't know. We're gonna continue the segment, but
I feel like I put up a little bit of a better fight around this time.
yes, 100%.
For sure. Like I felt like they were definitely a little more competitive, but
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, of the past 8 minutes here, you didn't have any where you just abruptly stopped when there were obviously way more. Like we ran through a lot on these ones. I think we did a good job.
Yeah, those video game ones, I'm kind of upset about that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Dude, I knew it was gonna be close.
that was a gettable one for me, and I just didn't get it.
There's just so many sequels and like
Oh yeah,
continuation games that is just easy to continue. Oh, I forgot about the PSP Battlefronts. Renegade
yeah.
Squadron. I forgot about those. That would have
there's
been
so
way
many-
too funny to start using.
so many video games, so many video games.
But as you guys can see, I won another push and pull. Unfortunately, I know everyone at this point is probably rooting for Mark, and I kind of am too.
I'm like the biggest underdog in this segment.
In this game specifically, yes. And I don't know why. But hopefully when we bring this segment back again, he can put up another fight and see if he can beat his record of one 1 point. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not even taking shots. It's just how
No,
it is.
it's just funny at this point that I always get one and that's it. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I sneak away with that one.
So if you guys enjoyed this segment, please let us know in the comment section below, and we will send you guys back to the boys at the desk. Well, Mark, the tradition continues. You got destroyed again in push and pull.
I mean, I got my 1 point that I always get, so it's like the same thing. You wouldn't think that like we record these at a different time. It just feels like we record the same one over and over again.
Well, hopefully you can redeem yourself here, because now I need you to guess these two characters based off of their affiliations. Are you prepared?
I don't know. I think I went 1 for 2 last time. So
I believe so as well.
I'm hoping I can go for 2 for 2 here.
Okay, well, your first character here, first affiliations, Royal House of Naboo, Galactic Republic, and Galactic Empire.
Oof, who do I want to say? Man, I don't know. I don't know who I want to say here.
There's multiple choices for sure.
I think I'm gonna say I want to say Sabe.
Mark, that is incorrect. We were looking for Captain Panaka.
I knew it was gonna be. I was taking a random. I was taking a random shot in the dark. I wasn't sure.
Oh man,
It was gonna be along the lines of Captain Typho, Panaka, one of those characters.
Yeah. You were thinking in the same realm, but
Yeah.
hopefully you can get this next one. Your affiliations for this character. Excuse me if I'm not pronouncing this correctly, but Staugason Hive, Techno Union, Confederacy of Independent Systems, and the Galactic Republic.
So the Republic and Techno Union. What the heck? I don't even know what that first one was, so I'm not gonna.
Staugason Hive.
I don't even know what that is. If I'm being honest. Gosh, the Techno Union and the Republic. I feel like it's gonna be like an obvious one that I'm just not thinking of. Because when I think of Hive, I think of like the Geos, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna guess. Jeez, bro. I don't know. I'm just gonna guess like Wat Tambor. I really don't know.
Oh, Mark, that is incorrect. It was Poggle the Lesser.
That was my second guess. I was like, because I was thinking of the Geos. I'm like, well, is it Poggle? I was like, well, I don't know if he's part of the Republic technically. Or not.
He specifically on Wikipedia. I did not tell you this,
man,
because it's just an affiliation. But on Wikipedia, next to Galactic Republic, it had in parentheses briefly. I personally don't know when that was, but
I don't know if that was either.
He had that affiliation.
Gosh, dude,
I felt like the Hive should have just given it to you.
Like, I was on the right track, and I don't know why I just didn't stick with it. I should have just said Poggle.
That is unfortunate. I went with two that definitely had multiple options.
Dang, bro. That second one's annoying.
That
That first one I'm not so mad at because it's like it could have been a bunch of people.
Yeah. But this game is meant to trip you up.
Yeah, it's difficult.
But now, I think it's time for us to head down to the diner. We are going to go ahead and send it to our next segment, send it down to Dexter's Diner for our final segment, Diner Talk.
Welcome to Diner Talk. In this segment, me and Logan are down here in Dexter's Diner talking about current things going on in Star Wars. This time around, we're going to be talking about AHSOKA, basically just a roundup, talking about the show as a whole, and just kind of seeing how we're feeling about the show. Of course, thank you to Dex for allowing us to be down here and recording this segment. We love you, Dex. You're the man. But now to get into our first bullet point here, going to be talking about the portrayals of the animated characters within this show. Now, I was actually a big fan of them. I thought every single actor just nailed them down to a T. I mean, to start off with Hera, her performance was phenomenal. It took me a while to kind of get used to the look of her in the series, but man, just like the lines, the different type of comebacks she had, and just her like personality was just so on point with what it was in Rebels that it didn't take me long to adjust to her. Sabine was another great one, especially when she met up with Ezra. I think that was really when her character took a step forward for me, and really like I could see Sabine in that moment. Ezra was another one greatly portrayed. The jokes in combat and the like all those little jokes and stuff were just, they were great because he would be doing that all the time in Rebels, and it was really great. Obviously Chopper was phenomenal. That was one where I feel like you just couldn't mess it up. I mean,
Yeah.
just it wasn't much different. You're just taking him in the live action, and his character's going to be the same exact way, and I mean, it was perfect. So, I mean, and Ahsoka obviously is always, her performance is always great. Hu Yang was a very good addition to this show. One of the highlights. So, I have no complaints. I genuinely don't. They were all portrayed great, and I'm really excited to see them in more stuff in the future here.
Yeah, another one that I'll point out is young Ahsoka, I think was also really good.
Yeah.
Seeing Hayden as, Clone Wars Anakin was also, we knew his performance was going to be really good, but,
Yeah.
Seeing him in that was great. You talked about Hera first. I mean, that one, to me, it's between Hera and Ezra for, like, best. It's probably Ezra.
Yeah, I like
I think
Ezra
that
a lot.
one is just so just nailed to a T, perfect. And Hera, I thought this from the start, because I had the same feelings as you, as like the look was definitely a little, had to get used to it, but like the facial expressions, the emotion, like you said, the comebacks, like the writing was great, and the acting was on point for what I would expect out of Hera. I thought that was great. So those two were definitely the best for me, I would say.
Yeah.
But to go ahead and move into the next bullet point here, I wanted to talk about essentially Ahsoka and Sabine and how their relationship sort of changes over time throughout the show. Because at the start is they're separated, and we find out that Sabine had been training with Ahsoka over this whole time period between Rebels and this show. And so that's why, I think at the start of the show, they seem in character, but there's something off about them. They're not quite themselves, and it's obvious that some change has happened throughout that time period that we haven't seen. And as the season goes on, they warm up to each other, but there's still some sort of animosity. And once Ahsoka, quote unquote, dies, that is kind of the turning point for both of them, where they definitely have some changes. And then when Ahsoka reappears, that's Sabine's turning point for sure, because she's like, I feel like she kind of feels like she failed her in a way.
Yeah.
And that's that's when we find out in the finale. I'm kind of upset that we find out in the finale that the reason Ahsoka was like hesitant on Sabine is because of what happened to her family. I think that I don't think that was necessary to be revealed at the beginning, but I think somewhere in the middle, I feel like that should have just been revealed as a slight bit earlier. But that kind of all made it make sense, and the fact that they kind of come full circle and now they're trapped together in a separate galaxy, and now they have to be together when they started out separated and had been separated for some time.
Yeah.
But I think the all these certain things, and there's some little discussions between them, definitely mend their relationship and bring them back together, and I think it was executed great.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely like seeing their I guess you could call them fights, I guess, like mini fights,
Mm-hmm.
and like disagreements, because you could definitely see that like Sabine is obviously, she's a Mandalorian, so she's got the kind of like what Kanan was saying in Rebels, where
Yeah.
she's got that like Mandalorian personality, so she's always trying to fight back and stuff. But now seeing her she's had some crazy character development, because she's definitely losing her Mandalorian type personality a little bit. I don't want to say
Mm-hmm.
like a lot because it's not a lot, but it's like a little bit because she sees where Ahsoka's coming from, and like you said, she does kind of feel like she let Ahsoka down for giving Balin the map to go get Thrawn. Uh, so she definitely has some resentment there, but just being apart for that long, and I think that also helped mend their relationship back together. And Sabine realizing that she can wield the Force, she can do it. She's Force sensitive. She can wield the Force. So I'm really excited to see what they have in store for that.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully to see some training of her actually using the Force and learning to control it. Some lightsaber combat as always. We love seeing that. I mean, I'm excited for this. So
Because her like growth with the Force over the season, I think, is portrayed pretty well.
oh yeah, it's great.
And
She's like trying to use it throughout the whole
yeah,
series, and it makes you think like, oh, so it's taking her this long, like she might not use it. But
mm-hmm.
then in the final episode, she does the hand thing, and the thing that'll never get old. She
Yeah, it was the
uses
perfect
Force.
way to kind of really have that sort of reveal.
Oh, of course.
Because I mean, you knew it was going to happen eventually, and I'm not. Are you upset with her being a Jedi?
I don't want to say I'm upset because I'm not upset. I'm just like, I'm a little shocked at it and a little
Mm-hmm.
like, because I'd seen that Kanan clip in Rebels,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, it makes a little more sense now. But I'm still like, because I feel like it was kind of sprung upon us, like,
Mm-hmm.
so that's kind of where my problem is with it. But like, I shouldn't even say a problem. It's just like, it just felt a little out of place to me. I have no problem with her being Force sensitive. Um, I actually think it is a little interesting because it adds a whole new dynamic to the whole crew and group in general.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I didn't mind it either, but like you said, it was kind of because now we learn that like this whole time Ahsoka like in this training was actually trying to get her to use the Force as well, not
yes.
just in like what we see in the show. Like throughout the time that we didn't see, she was also trying to train her with the Force.
Yeah.
So I think the like progression of her using the Force is great, but her using the Force just in general was weird at first. But I mean, I don't really have any problems with it.
Yeah, not at all here. But now going into my second point here, just talk about the main villains. So, Grand Admiral Thrawn, Baylan Skoll, and Shin Hati.
Maybe
So just
even
to start off,
Morgan as well.
oh, Morgan as well. I completely forgot about Morgan. She was actually played a really big role in that.
Yeah, then the Night Sisters all together, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you could talk. We could bunch them all together, but because I really want to start talking about Thrawn here. I mean, he was definitely a big highlight for me. I mean, like I always say it, but man, he was intimidating in this.
He
Just
was
like
a performance that we didn't mention from animation to live action, which
oh
was
yeah,
another super great one.
yeah. But we can talk about it here because he obviously it's the same voice actor,
Mhm.
so you knew the voice was gonna be on point. But man, he looked great. He looked a lot better than what he did in the trailers. Um, just the way like his stature and kind of like the aura that he gave off was insane.
Mhm.
Um, seeing the chimera, that shot where you see it, it was phenomenal. It was great, and his whole like crew that he has with him. I mean, you could tell he wasn't slacking. He was trying to get back the whole time.
Yeah. And
Baylan. Oh, go ahead.
no, you can go.
Okay. And Baylan, another one, was just. I mean, this character was a welcome surprise, and I don't think they could have portrayed it any better. I mean, this is such a great new addition to Star Wars' character, and just to like, I don't want to say character development, but just kind of see him throughout the show. He has like a sense of, because I don't want to say like honor, because he kind of like he doesn't think fully like a Jedi, but he has like qualities, I guess, of a Jedi,
Yeah.
but also like a dark side Force user as well. So it's like a really interesting dynamic there, especially with him and Shin. But man, seeing him in that on the at the end of the series with him standing on the father's hand pointing out into the distance, such a cool shot. I can't wait to see what he's up to. And Shin, I mean, her character has been great as well. She's definitely teetering on the light and dark side here. I'm hoping she goes with Ahsoka and Sabine, goes back to the Star Wars galaxy, trains with them, but we'll see. That's just what I'm hoping for. But
Mhm.
her character was great. The actor did a phenomenal job. And Morgan Elsbeth, man, she was phenomenal as well. I mean, I have no problem with these main villains. They were all super great. They served a good purpose and they did their roles very well. And they're all going in completely different directions. Except for Morgan, of course, because well, she got wrecked.
Uh-huh.
But all three of these villains are going in their own directions. One of them might hopefully turn to the light side and not be a villain. That's what we're hoping for, but I have no complaints. These are very good villains for not just this show, but in the future as well.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, when you're introduced to them in the premiere within the first two episodes, Baylan and Shin, you know, they're the, I don't know if we can call them villains. They're antagonists for sure, but they're
Yeah.
definitely not inherently evil, I would say. You know, Thrawn is just straight up evil.
Oh yeah.
But you know, Baylan being an Order 66 survivor, and you know, like you said, he does have some qualities of a Jedi, but he is throughout the season, you know, he's saying that he's something else is calling out to him. He has a bigger purpose, which
Yes.
makes me think like he's definitely has some obsession with power, which is, you know, a dark side trait.
Yeah.
But Shin was taught after the time of the Jedi, so she only knows what Baylan has taught her. So yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm I'm expecting it, but I still do hope that she turns and becomes an actual Jedi. I would love to see that. Thrawn. I mean, I don't think you can say much. Like you can't say enough about Thrawn and the performance, how great he's portrayed within this series. It's amazing. So excited to see more. He's the perfect villain to have be the bridge between the originals and sequels.
Oh yeah, it just makes sense. I mean,
and then Morgan Elsbeth, I'll kind of lump her in with the Night Sisters. The Night Sisters are back.
Yeah, and in live action, it's insane.
In live action, we're going back to Dathomir, and I'm expecting that the cargo was a whole bunch of dead Night Sisters, and we're gonna have a Night Sister army. That's my assumption.
There's more on Dathomir too, I think. Dude, there's gonna be so many like Night Sisters, like zombies, like dead Night Sisters. It's gonna
General Grievous couldn't bring them back. Couldn't take them all out, so they're bringing them back. But yeah, I'm excited for all that. I think the villains were great in this series. But my next point, I wanted to talk about Ahsoka's growth as a teacher specifically, as Sabine's master, because I mean, like we already talked about at the start, like it is rough, and we find out that she feels that Sabine would not be able to do it because of her feelings toward her family and what happened and everything. And the big turning point for her is the World Between Worlds with Anakin and all those flashbacks. I love that in her growth as a teacher, she is learning herself.
Yeah. She's
learning from Sabine, from her experiences with Sabine, but then also still learning from Anakin. And I love the acknowledgement at the end when she says how great of a teacher Anakin was. Because I think that's an underrated sort of aspect about Anakin, which
100%.
Like he is a great master toward Ahsoka. He is the correct master for Ahsoka. Which it just works out perfectly. And I love the idea of how Anakin stood by her no matter what, even if no one else did, and that's exactly what Ahsoka is going to be for Sabine.
Yeah, and it just made sense because that's how Anakin was, with his he would stand by his friends no matter what, and that's a trait that Ahsoka picked up from him, which is a phenomenal trait to have.
Yeah, and I just seeing that sort of throughout that episode with the flashbacks and everything, you see the clear difference between her demeanor as a teacher from before that and after that.
Oh yeah.
She's so rough on Sabine that whole time prior, and she's warmed up to her so much and feels so much more confident in her as well. So yeah, I think the growth is so good throughout it. I can't say enough about it, but how do you feel?
Yeah, no, it's great, man. I mean, like you said, she was very she wasn't, I guess you could say not nice. She was definitely harder on Sabine than what she should have been during the whole training. But then after the War Between Worlds and Anakin, all that stuff, just the change of demeanor is just it's like night and day, like you said. I mean, and once she's seen Sabine, she just had the biggest smile on her face. She was so happy to see her, and I can't wait to see where it goes. I think it's gonna it's already made Ahsoka a better Jedi, and just when you think she could become a better Jedi or learn anything else, she learned something. And in turn, it's only gonna help Sabine in her progress of wielding the Force, becoming a Jedi, and just becoming a stronger Jedi overall in general. It's they're gonna piggyback off of each other, and I think it's gonna be great. I mean, I just can't wait to see what happens next with that.
And I'd love to see if they do end up making Shin join them and try to become a Jedi as well. I'd love to see how Ahsoka treats that,
Yes.
sort of that teaching as well, because that's a much different situation than Sabine's. Like, you have to completely change someone's way of thinking, essentially from what they've been taught prior, from what Balin taught her. Because you know, we said Balin has a lot of Jedi qualities, so Shin definitely got a lot of those, but there's some of those other qualities that she's definitely gonna have to drop, and I think that's gonna be tough, and I'd love to see how Ahsoka tackles that. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, you could see it. She sensed the conflict in her, so
Mhm.
she thinks that she can turn her into a Jedi, which is great. I hope she does. I'm really excited, and I hope to see that. But now moving into to my final point, just gonna be talking about Ezra, just as a character, kind of what he did when he was on screen. Him him making friends with those, like, what are those creatures' names?
I forget
I
the name of
haven't.
the creatures. I just call them little hermit crabs.
Yeah, yeah. We'll just call them little hermit crabs for now. But him just becoming friends with these, like, hermit crabs and, like, this whole village of them, like, that's just so Ezra to
Hmm.
he would do something like that. I mean, it's great seeing him with new friends, and then, once he's seen Sabine, like, it was that little banter they have back and forth was great. That's exactly how I remember it from Rebels. Um, and him making that new lightsaber, it looking just like Kanan's, and of course we were saying it when we were watching it. It just had to be blue, and it was blue.
Hmm.
It's just that moment just hit so hard with me. I mean, as you could tell that Ezra really cared about Kanan. He looked up to Kanan. I don't know if I want to say, I'll say mentor. I don't want to say like a father figure, but I'll say he looked up to him as a mentor, as a friend. I mean, their relationship was so good. We talked about it before. A top 5 relationship in Star Wars has to be.
Hmm.
Um, Seeing him when Shin found Ezra and Sabine, and Sabine went to go hand him his lightsaber, and he was just like, "I don't need that. It's yours. I gave it to you. The Force is my ally." So and he used the Force in combat. Like, that was super cool. I thought, even though I wanted to see him with the green lightsaber,
Hmm.
I think his new one fits him better. Um, but yeah, I mean, I have absolutely zero complaints, like you said earlier, and I agree with it. He was portrayed the perfectly. I mean, I don't think you couldn't have done it any better. His
No.
character is great. Seeing his interaction at the end with Chopper and Hera was super emotional. Chopper knew it was Ezra from the moment he seen him. He rolled on over. He knew who it was, because Ezra used to do that stuff all the time, dressing up as like stormtroopers or scout troopers or whatever.
Hmm.
He would just dress up as different troopers and stuff like that and go on missions. But yeah, Ezra's great. He's one of my favorite characters, so I'm glad to see him portrayed perfectly in this show, and I'm just so excited to see him in more Star Wars. I can't wait.
Yeah. I did want to bring up, you were talking about Kanan and the obvious influence. I mean, it's just, I think that's a great thing to have be part of Ezra's character. It's kind of Kanan living on through Ezra as well,
Yeah,
while
it's
Ezra
perfect.
being his own character at the same time. You get that influence. You said you didn't want to say treat it as like a father figure, but in a certain way, I definitely think it can be treated like that. It's
Yeah.
just, it's obvious how much Ezra looked up to Kanan, and I think that the moment of him saying the Force is my ally, I think is such a Kanan thing as well. Like,
It
that's,
is.
he learned it somewhere.
Yeah, and it was from Kanan.
So yeah, I think that part of the performance and that part of the character in this show was the best part about him, is that he felt like the combination of everything else that we've seen him in.
Oh yeah.
Like, he was everything that we saw in Rebels and more, and just it was as perfect as it could be. So,
Yep.
and I still wish we got to see Hera and Ezra actually hug it out and everything, but
Yes. That'd be
maybe
perfect.
maybe we'll see it in the second season if there is.
Who knows? We'll see.
Well, that can go ahead and lead us into the final point of this diner talk, being our all-around thoughts on the show, on what we believe is the first season. We think there's going to be a second. I wanted to kind of compare it to the other shows, see how we're kind of feeling about it, and the feeling on the ending and where it ended and where it might go. Earlier in this episode of the Galactic Core, the people saw climbing the ranks our tier list of the Star Wars shows, and Ahsoka was in there. And we had it in the top 4. I definitely think, as of right now, it still stands there. Like, it's, I think that's a great spot for it. It's I don't even know if I want to say it's rough around the edges. It's just very. It has so many things going on because it's leading to so much. I think that might be a slight downfall of it. It's not as focused as some of the other other series, I would say. But I think it's the perfect extension of Rebels, though. I think it is a great extension of that. And where we ended off, I mean, in our reaction, we kind of talked about it. I don't know how there could possibly not be a second season. Because if this is leading directly into the movie, that's going to be a long movie. It's either going to be a long movie or it's going to be a bad movie because it's going to move so quick.
Yes.
Or they're going to use The Mandalorian Season 4 as a filler of Ahsoka Season 2, essentially. And
which they could.
Mismatch everything all together, just mash it into one show and call it Mandalorian Season 4, which, am I going to be mad? Maybe, because I would like for the Mandalorian to be the Mandalorian.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I feel too.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I'm feeling about where it ended, because I think it obviously needs a second season. And
it does. Yeah.
Because I feel like you can't just make something else to explore Balin's whole story. Because that is obviously leading to something even crazier than what we've got going on now.
Yeah.
So I think they have a lot of loose ends to tie up, for sure.
All 100%. Yeah, just talk about this Balin thing for a little bit. Because I don't feel like you can go into the movie from here.
No.
I mean, there's just, like you said, there's way too much going on right now. We definitely need a second season. I need to see what Thrawn's plan is before the movie, I think. So I kind of want to see his plan before the movie, and then his plan, and then him taking his plan into action. That should be like where the movie picks up, I think.
Because the movie, I would assume, like, it makes the most sense for the movie to be Thrawn starts his whole plan that you're talking about. Like, in the second season, we see the plan. We see, what's going on with Balin. We see how Ahsoka and Sabine can make it back. And then in the movie, like, we start out the movie sort of slow. We find out that Thrawn's doing this thing, and then we bring all the characters together. We bring Mando, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Ezra. Like, we bring everyone. Like, that's I'm gonna assume that's what they're gonna try to do. It's a culmination of all these shows. So,
dude, this movie's gonna be loaded, dude. It's
yes.
Stacked. I just realized that this movie's gonna be stacked, dude. It's gonna be insane. But yeah, that's definitely what they should do. And I don't want to see a Mando season 4 with a bunch of crap going on that's not Mando. I don't want to see that. Um, but I kind of went off track of what I was gonna say.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh no, you're good. That was my fault. But to go to Balin for a little bit here, I'm really interested to see what he's up to, because
Mhm.
obviously there's been speculation, and a lot of people are leaning towards Abeloth here, and I want to be honest, I don't necessarily know how I feel about it because I, like with them, okay, so with them bringing Legends character or like Legends just concepts or literally anything from Legends, like I don't have a problem with some of it.
Mhm.
What I now Abeloth is one where, well, how would you make her work? Because I mean, in Legends, she's like kind of the end all be all essentially.
Yeah.
She's extremely powerful. It took the father, the son, and the daughter, all three of them, to just defeat her, like just by herself. It was insane. So if you bring her into canon, and obviously like canon, father, daughter, son were like super powerful as well, obviously. Um, but you make her like more powerful or like on the power level of those three combined. I just think is just I think it would be a too much, you know.
Yes.
I feel like it would be too much. Because oh man, it's just such a tough situation. Because if they do go down that route, which it kind of is looking like it's gonna be really hard for them to bring her in, especially like when do you like have her like because you can't have her between 6 and 7, like episode 6 and episode 7,
Yeah.
because then you go from Palpatine, okay, to Abeloth, which is just another tier above Palpatine, and maybe even 2 or 3 tiers.
Yeah.
And then you go down, you take a deep drop to Snoke, who essentially is a Palpatine, obviously you figured out. And then you go back up to Palpatine. So it's like it's a weird I don't know, it's
It's something
super.
that would have to be after the sequels. It cannot
Yeah,
be something that can be within these two
yeah.
trilogies.
Yeah, and that's what I'm worried about, because if they do that and they bring her out, I feel like it's gonna overshadow Thrawn too. Like I don't want that to
Yes.
happen. I want Thrawn to be the main antagonist, the main villain. That's what I want, because he just, like you said earlier, fits the role perfectly. Now, if she is like later on in like the Rey movie, say, where she's like the main antagonist, like okay, maybe, but even then, it's like you can't. I don't know. She's so powerful, you can't beat her. So it's like,
It's in we see in the Clone Wars, in the Mortis arc, the only people that could control the son and the daughter were the father
mhm,
and Anakin, because he's the chosen one.
yes,
Which Anakin is like, they wanted Anakin to replace the father because he's the chosen one.
exactly.
If he's the only if those four people are the only ones that can like counteract each other, if it took all three, father, son, and daughter, to handle Abeloth, what the hell beats Abeloth?
Well, the thing is, I mean, I guess you could bring back Anakin and have him be the fourth and have
Okay.
him come back and like him, like Ahsoka, because she's like,
We
technically
find
people's
out
favorite
Anakin was
daughter.
secretly cloning himself as well. Like, it's like, dude, I have no idea what
Well,
could possibly beat Abeloth. It would just, to me, it would be the worst thing they could do, because you just can't bring something in that is that powerful, and you have nothing to stop it.
yeah,
Because then
exactly.
you're
Yeah,
gonna forcefully make someone be able to stop it,
it's gonna
and
be
it's
Luke.
not gonna make sense. People are gonna be upset about it, or they're gonna say that Abeloth was nerfed or something. Like, it's
Oh, it's gonna be bad either way, because like in Legends, I think I'm not 100% obviously, because I don't like really follow up on Legends too
Mhm.
well, but I believe it took Luke and like other like Jedi and Sith at the time even to take her down. Like it wasn't just Luke. And like if they're gonna bring her back now, like Luke hasn't, like he's just now starting to build his like Jedi Temple Academy, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't have any he doesn't have any recruits. he doesn't.
He's got
He doesn't.
Grogu. It's like,
That's Grogu versus Abeloth. Who wins? I got money
okay,
on
there
Grogu.
it is. Yeah,
I got
Where-
money on Grogu.
Abeloth is actually gonna show up like 700 years from now, from this spot in the timeline, because Grogu will be in his prime or something. Like it's
Dude.
just
Grogu in Din's armor with that would be sick. I'm not gonna lie.
wait. You think Grogu's gonna grow to be that size?
Well, no, I mean like having like the helmet.
Oh, dude, that's not fitting on his head. He's got to modify it. Call up
Yeah,
Thundercat.
you can modify it. Yeah, you can make it fit his head.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
I don't know. I have some concerns about it. Obviously, it's not like 100% they're going Abeloth. It's not 100% they're going there, but
Yeah.
it's kind of being implied a little bit, and that's what people are speculating. So I do have some concerns with that. But overall, I mean, the series was great. I enjoyed it. I always mention all the time, I love Rebels. I love the Rebels characters. One of my favorite shows. They all were portrayed great. The story is good. I'm really excited for this movie that's Heir to the Empire that's gonna be coming out. Filoni is doing a great job, and everybody else who was involved as well on the team. And I'm just excited for the road ahead. We got a lot of Star Wars still to come out, and I'm excited. It's a good time to be a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, to round up our thoughts, I guess, would be please don't bring Abeloth in, and and there's got to be a season 2. But this season was phenomenal, and it just places Ahsoka in such a high tier of Star Wars shows and Star Wars content as a whole, and I feel like a second season can only raise it up even higher. And definitely get us better prepared for that movie.
Oh yeah, and this season is setting up everything in the future right now. It's the starting point for something crazy. So I'm super excited for it. Well, this was a great season of Ahsoka. I'm really excited to see where they're going to bigger places, and I really can't wait to see where we're going. If you liked this season of Ahsoka, go ahead and let us know down in the comments below. What'd you like? What'd you dislike? Got any speculations? Go ahead and let us know where you think we're going down here in the future. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of Diner Talk. And with that, we will go ahead and send you back to the boys at the studio to end off the episode. Well, Logan, that was another great Galactic Core episode. I had a lot of fun making it. And we actually did a lot of talking about different things coming up in Star Wars. What are you looking forward to the most?
If I'm being honest, I think I'm definitely looking forward to Bad Batch Season 3. That is the one thing that is definitely on my radar and I'm ready to see. What are you looking forward to?
Well, Logan, I'm really looking forward to Heir to the Empire. I think this movie is just going to be insane. The cast is stacked. And all the series have been leading up to this point, so I'm really excited to see what they're going to be doing with this movie.
100%.
Go ahead and let us know what you are looking forward to within the Star Wars franchise down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode of the Galactic Core, please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and hey, possibly be thinking about becoming a channel member today. And with that, we will send you off. Good night, Coruscant. Good night, citizens of the Republic.